jump into on remedial line.
Yeah, the only questions I had about it, quite frankly, was that we just simply had a piece in there that said that 70% of the mortgage students should show growth. So if I go sit down and take it, and I'm score 49, and at the end of the time I'm 48 or 50, I'm showing growth. And we weren't in here later on, they know that, they're willing to move away from that, and most willing to negotiate a different standard in a new contract. So it's like, well, the short time I talked with the folks from CEP, what they said to me was, look, we were part of the negotiations. Most of what's in here was recommended by people on your end. That's right or wrong, that's what they said.
And this may be for Dr. Greer or someone in the staff, but I have heard of more than once opponents of CEP say that the HISD, in these words, has in the past expressed a desire to do their own pre and post test, and CEP refused to allow it. And at the same time, I have heard CEP emphatically deny that. It said that we never refused to deny it, to allow it. We wouldn't refuse to allow it. We hadn't even objected. Do you have any idea where?
Well, let me be clear about this.
I can't, number one, I don't believe that they would say that you can't do it, and number two, if they did, then I'd be here telling you we're closing it down. And if we come up with an alternative way to do it, they have, times I've talked to them, they've never once said that they would refuse for us to do pre and post tests. They just.
But you haven't heard that they ever did refuse. I mean, heard from, I guess, internally.
I've heard so many different things by so many different folks, but I've talked to our people in research, and they've never said to me that they have refused that. When I talked to them, they said that we had never asked, that we never requested, and that you know, that if we want a pre and post test, that's fine. The problem you have, and you know this, is when some kids go in there for 45 days and they're out, and you pre-test and you post-test, and you got to ask yourself, what am I pre-testing, what am I post-testing? And so it's very, that's the hard piece. So if you don't use some type of software like a Plato or a Novanet or something, then your question becomes, what are we going to test them on when they go in? What are we going to test them on when they leave? And how are we going to assess their progress? I'm not saying that's impossible, but Roger's a researcher. He could speak more to how difficult that might be, particularly these different readiness levels and grade levels of these kids. But I've not heard from anyone on staff saying that CEP has refused our pre and post testing. Did you, Chuck?
No, and in fact, their comment to me was, we will use anything you want us to use. I mean, that was the comment, and we actually suggested using a special